Start the meeting of the Greenwood Advisory Plan Commission for Monday, December 9th, 2024 at 7:32. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from November 25th, 2024.
I move to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Alexi and a second by Ms. Stambaugh. All those in favor, please show by raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 9-0. I don't see any special requests or continuances. And I don't see any findings of fact either. So the first thing we'll get on to is old business. First item on old business is PC 2024-035. This is Walker Commons North primary plat, and we have one commission member who is going to step out of the meeting for a conflict of interest. Right. Pause just a minute. Mr. Walker, would you mind closing the door as you go out? Oh. No. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, for this first item, the petitioner is Neil Gradio. Mr. Gradio.
Kitchitting.
Kitchitting, excellent. This is a public hearing. You'll need to be sworn in, and anybody else who's planning on speaking on this needs to stand and be sworn in at this time.
Do you swear on Council Sturgeon, President Street, and
State your name and address.
Good evening. For the record, Eric Prime, Bailey Law Firm, 225 South Emerson here in Greenwood. Here this evening for 3 separate primary plat approval petitions. This is, I guess we'd like to first of all extend thanks to the staff and to the Plan Commission for your forbearance as has moved through the process. This was, the rezoning was approved quite a while ago, but we've had some challenges here and there with development. Obviously, we've been before you a couple of times on waiver issues. And now that all that's worked through, we are here this evening with all 3 sections, the north, the southeast, and the southwest, to seek approval for the walk down and step forward. So we have the 3 different plat approvals. Do you want me to address all 3 of these at once, or should we take them one at a time?
Let's just take them one at a time.
Okay, fantastic. So we'll start with the north. This is the north section on the north side of Main Street. This has been through all of tech review. It has approvals of your technical review committee and staff, and it is in compliance with your UDO and development standards. A couple of items just to point out, there was a 1 lot reduction from what was approved by council. So we went from 94 to 93. I believe that was actually to accommodate the potential future connection with the community care healthcare facility that's adjacent and to the east of us. That's actually shows at number 5 that you can see on the map there. We've added 10-foot trails and a crosswalk to connect the common areas. There's also a crosswalk for pedestrian access to Community Church of Greenwood and PCA, and we've added a guardrail to the pond. Just lost. And then added right-of-way access, as I mentioned, to the healthcare facility to the east. That's been a common problem because they do get a lot of ambulance runs, and they've got to wind their way up through the existing subdivision to the east. This actually gives them a much quicker route to get the emergency personnel and vehicles to that facility. They would have to connect on their side of the property line for it to come to fruition, but we're providing that access. And that's really it. Those are really the only items I want to point out that have had some change since this was last before you. As I mentioned, otherwise this did pass tech review, and staff is supportive of the primary plat approval. So we would ask to have this plat approved.
Thank you very much. Seeing as no one else wanted to be sworn in, I'm assuming there are no remonstrators. So, close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions?
On the tech committee review minutes, I just want to have a revision made. The one that talks about the sanitary sewer, it says there might need to be further discussion, upgrades across US 31. That should be State Road 135. So there's no confusion. State Road 135. And then I do want to thank the developers for working with staff, especially on the sanitary sewer portion of the project. It has been a challenge for them. They've come up with what appears to be a solution, but they are going to continue to work with the sanitation field and the engineering division to make sure that everything's there that will be in the future before they install the sanitary sewer.
And you're comfortable with the direction things are going?
Yes. Yeah, they've been working through it. It's taken a while, but there was a lot to do. Research.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just from staff, as we mentioned, technical review committee did see this. We were favorable. We did have the condition that just remaining staff concerns were addressed. They've worked out many of those concerns, especially with receiving 30% plans for the off-site sanitary sewer. One thing I would mention, just because we've gotten calls about it, no one remonstrated those, but the large tree that is on the north side of this property, they are going to still try to save the tree. We don't necessarily have an ordinance, but just in case anyone out in the audience is wondering, they are going to attempt to keep that tree there, although they cannot promise due to the work on the site if the roots will survive, but that is the intent. That's all.
And when the city built Fire Station 93, there was a very large oak. It was just on the far east end of the site, and we saved it for a year or two. The sanitary sewers came through and that went away. So you make best efforts, see what you can do. Any other questions or comments by the commission?
I think the second iteration of the project is a lot better than the original. It's a lot of common open space. I like that. I'm going to try to save trees along Main Street as part of the development, and I'm in favor of this petition.
Anybody else? Seeing no other comments, I would accept the motion.
Move to approve the proposed primary plat of Walker Commons North Residential Subdivision submitted by the engineers on behalf of Apollo Developers LLC, document PC 2024-035, subject to technical review committee conditions, and all staff comments addressed because primary plat on meeting the conditions complies with the Unified Development Ordinance subdivision standards. To direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf notice of determination of written findings regarding the approval of the primary plat prepared by the planning director.
We have a motion by Mr. Price. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Mr. King. Any last comments or questions before we go to a vote? Seeing none, all in favor, please show by raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Next item on old business is PC 2024-036, Walker Commons Southeast primary plat. Again, this is a public hearing. Anybody who's choosing to speak on this needs to stand and be sworn in at this time.
D. Sherrill commits perjury. This is true to the best of your knowledge.
I do.
Thank you.
So, well, again, sorry, for the record, Eric Brian Bidway with law firm on behalf of the petitioner. Southeast section is actually in two distinct neighborhoods. So what you see here is the northernmost portion of the southeast plat. These will be rear load, single family detached homes. The changes here in summary are that all of the trails again in this area are now 10 feet wide and connected to common areas. That's in keeping with your comprehensive plan that is about to be finally adopted.
It has been adopted.
Okay, fantastic. And then we provided access to the front doors of the homes that will be fronting the trail. So if you follow that little line down from the box, that's an example of those homes. All of those are rear load as far as the garages from the thinner alleyways. But the homes that actually front the trail will have trail access to them, which is kind of a nice option for those folks. And then the lot count here was also reduced from the original 61 that was approved down to 58. Other than that, again, I think we're back kind of similar to the previous matter where this is passed muster with your technical review committee and staff is supportive. And we would ask for this approval when we show you the bottom part of this as well. These are the larger estate lots in the yellow, all part of the same plat, but you've got the single family detached rear load that was sort of the orange area, and then this yellow area are single family detached larger estate lots. And this area there is providing a right-of-way stub to Community Church of Greenwood, which was developed in conjunction with the church. And then right-of-way dedication and pavement at Leah Lane and Green Valley Drive per the waivers that we were here about previously. And then also the 10-foot trails again, were added to provide connectivity all the way down to, I guess you can get to the Yorktown and Smith Valley roundabouts. So off-site, obviously. But that's all of interest that I have for you this evening. We're again asking for approval of this plaque.
Okay. No one sworn in as a remonstrator. I assume that's not changed. So close public hearing. Commissioners, staff?
Just same thing on sanitary sewer. This is impacted by the offsite that they had to research and provide us information for. And we'll continue to work with them to try to get them to the finish line.
Staff is favorable, so long as all staff comments are addressed.
So this is connecting to Smith Valley Road right by the roundabout, west of, on a hill, down a hill. Oh boy, that's gonna be fun. I know there's other things about the primary plat, but that's definitely problematic.
It's definitely been discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like 100 or 150 yards from the roundabout, west of the roundabout.
Can you imagine that?
I don't know if it's gonna fall. We're going to have, appropriate passing blisters and XOD lanes installed. Sure. We've been in discussions with them. Prior city engineer had talked to them more than I had, but I think we felt comfortable with.
Access at that point, site distances are okay.
Yeah.
Given the limitations that some of council placed on their action.
There was a traffic study done just for everybody's edification, and that was provided to staff. So their findings were okay. The sightlines were okay. And that design's been in there since it went through the approval process.
So from just a comment on the distance, I don't have this to their entrance, but a rough estimate from the crosswalk that is where the roundabout is. So there's crosswalks before you enter the roundabout. From the crosswalk to their eastern property line, that is approximately 400 feet. So from where you're entering the roundabout to the property line, that is 400 feet on Smith Valley Road. The entrance you can see is about maybe centered, or maybe it's a little bit to the east on the site. So there would be additional feet separating it in addition to the 400 feet to the property line.
According to the plat drawing, it's that first lot is 170 feet east of west,
Okay, so about 570 feet.
so closer to 200 yards. 100, yeah. 190. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed primary plat of Walker Commons Southeast Parcel Residential Subdivision submitted by Wade Engineers on behalf of Apollo Developers LLC, docket PC 2024-036. Subject to the technical review committee condition that all staff comments are addressed, because the primary plat, upon meeting the condition, complies with the Unified Development Ordinance subdivision standards, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary plat as prepared by the planning director.
We have a motion by Mr. King. Is there a second? Oh, second by Mr. Milborn. Any last questions or comments before we proceed to a vote? Seeing none, all those in favor, please show by raising your hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Next item on the agenda. PC 2024-047, Walker Commons Southwest, primary plat. Again, this is a public hearing. All those wanting to speak, please stand and be sworn in.
Do you swear to this primary to the best of your knowledge? Thank you.
Thank you. And once again,
Again, for the record, here at Brian Van Baden Law Firm on behalf of the petitioner. This is, I promised the last time we'll hear me speak tonight. The final of the three plats is the southwest section, which is closest to 135. These are a mix of townhomes, which is sort of the gray area depicted on the north end, and then paired patio homes, which is the orange or yellow area further south. So paired patio lots were reduced again in this section from 84 as approved to 80 on this preliminary plat. And right-of-way dedication and pavement up to the property line of Faith Street with similar, that's the same waiver that we were here about. Then the pedestrian access has been added to the Community Church of Greenwood, GCA, by a sidewalk connection that comes off the cul-de-sac that ends kind of at their parking lot by way of an asphalt path. And then the curves, item number 4, you can see where the curves were adjusted to provide the 150-foot radius requirements. That was a condition that staff had placed on this, and that's now been done. So just to let you know, and then there will be mounting or guardrails as provided by the ordinance to buffer the pond from Main Street. Otherwise, this is pretty much exactly otherwise as shown and approved by both Plan Commission and Council. So again, we would ask for approval of this primary plat.
thank you. Lower demonstrators, you have 15 minutes. Please give your name and
Good
address.
evening. My name is Patricia Cheney, 242 Victory Avenue, Bella Heights. Well, we're back here and it looks like we're heading to approval. And so it's been a process that I think our part still is the concern is the ballards that are going to be put up at Faith. Not sure, I've never seen a ballard, I'm not sure exactly what they look like. But our concern was who in Greenwood is going to be in charge of opening the ballards and closing the ballards. So if say an emergency vehicle had to come through, is there a designated person or party or who is going to make sure the ballards are open to the emergency and also then closed after the emergency? And so we've never talked about that. And it's been something that, okay, is the fire department in charge of that? Are they going to be able to do that? Is that going to slow down them getting to an emergency? To take time to open these ballards? And there's a lot of traffic coming out of there. And I hope that in the next 5 years, I'm not standing back here facing y'all with, why have we not added on to Main Street? Why have we not? The funds, they said, would not be available for at least the next 5 years to widen Main Street, to make it more appealing. I know a comment was made when I brought that up before, that having more lanes does not move traffic. But I disagree. If that were so, we would have wasted millions of dollars on I-69 to move traffic. More lanes, moving traffic. More lanes, moving traffic. And yet, you know, the comment was made, more lanes. More lanes on Main Street would take care of more accidents. People hitting cars in the back ends because they're trying to weave around and trying to move. And so I think we should look at what can we do to enhance Greenwood, make it better with more roads. I know Smith Valley has been approved to take it to 4 lanes. And so I think it's time to look at widening Main Street and taking it to 4 lanes. And I bring up Villa Heights to you again. And I'll bring it up. Probably, I like coming here. I like seeing the process. I neglected that, and I apologize for that. But to see that the Villa Heights has not the beautiful things that this new neighborhood's going to have. We don't have sidewalks. We don't have storm sewers. We don't have curbs. And so we paid taxes. I personally paid taxes into the city of Greenwood for 32 years. And so I appreciate the snow removal. I appreciate the limb pickup, the leaf pickup. It is better than it used to be. But sometimes it's time to stop and look and see. All this building, when we all try to get out on the roads, somebody's going to come back to you guys. Thank you.
Patrick Olmsted, 1491 Hunters Lane. When we bought the house in 2005, matched the single family residence, matched what it was when my parents bought in 1977. I realize it's been rezoned, but I would urge you to reject this plat for the Southwest. First, the 150 doors does not fit the character of the neighborhoods in which it's being sandwiched into. This is the smallest plot of land, and yet we're putting the most doors on it, 150, give or take. I believe that's too many people for these small neighborhoods to be joined to. In my experience with reading case law from the Indiana Court of Appeals and Supreme Court, I'm not convinced that there's any meaningful way to keep the residents to 55 plus in those neighborhoods. I wish them the best of luck. Personally, I fear what's going to happen in America when the boomers start dying. Many of them have 2 houses. Those are gonna come on the market. I don't think we're gonna need the housing that is being projected here. Greenwood already has a lot of capacity. If you look at all the other apartment buildings being built in townhomes, we're gonna have a glut of housing, in my opinion. I'm also worried that the townhomes are being built very close to Main Street. I echo what was said by Ms. Cheney, that Main Street, I believe, needs widening. We already have traffic issues. This is gonna exacerbate those. The last thing is, I still don't see how the water movement is actually going to work. We showed pictures when this process started of basic flooding that happens from this southwest block. And yet somehow we're gonna take from the southwest corner that currently floods, we're gonna make basically that entire field impermeable. It's no longer gonna soak water like the field did. Now it's gonna be a lot of paving. All that water is gonna shed down. Somehow that water is supposed to magically get collected in this little spot, southwest corner, and travel by pipe all the way to the northeast until it gets to the pond that you see up at the top right. From there, it's gonna go across that little church and then across the street on Main Street. Well, you've got these other plots of land that, again, you've got what used to be field, now going to be pouring water into the same area. I don't see how it's actually going to function. I'm worried that although it looks like it could work on paper, sometimes things don't work out. Some of the wisdom you get with decades of experience. So I'm asking you guys to vote against it, look at this process and make sure that it's going to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olmsted. Bales changed their mind? Not, we'll move on to rebuttal by the petitioner. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. A couple of items I'll address. The bollards, we've not drilled down into that detail yet. We presented a few options when we were before you for the approval of the rezoning. There are knockdown bollards that actually the fire equipment can run over and then they get repaired. There are key bollards that you can jump out and a first responder can key them down and they lay down and then put them back up. And then there are the full concrete ones that are not movable, right? And probably some other iterations as well. We're willing to put in whatever version of that the city wants us to do. So those are options. As far as traffic is concerned, I mean, that really doesn't apply at the primary plat approval level. And we've already addressed all that in the rezoning, but I think most of the folks that live in this area will be traveling north to Main Street rather than south through the existing subdivision where Mr. Olmsted lives. And all repaired patio homes will be age restricted 55 and up. Those folks run at a much different traffic pattern than your average folks that are 9 to 5 working folks. And so we don't think that's going to be a substantial issue. And as I said, there was a traffic study done that all of this would pass muster with them and with Mr. St. John, your prior engineer. Then as far as the water flow, I think was kind of the last thing. Obviously, this is a farm field now, so it just sheets. There's rain. Yes, some of it is soaked in, but what's not soaked in just drains off wherever the topography sends it. Whereas once this is engineered and put in and graded, they can control that in a much better way than Mother Nature does currently. So that's all I have. Again, we would request approval.
Thank you, Mr. Prime. We now have 5 minutes available for demonstrators for closing remarks. Seeing none, close the public hearing. Sure, there's probably some comments by staff or commissioners.
you know, sanitary sewer. The drainage will be addressed with the secondary planning. They'll need to follow an ordinance that reduces the flow of stormwater runoff from the site. I've not known a project that hasn't made it better after it was developed than prior. Since I've been here.
And that's been 30
Some years.
some years.
And we've had similar comments, and I understand those comments, you know, they are concerned about it, but there's been several times that has come up, and then after the project is built, the stormwater runoff has been improved and been lessened by the new development, contrary to how it may seem. And then the roadway improvements, there was a traffic study. We've asked for roadway improvements to be done at their entrances on both Main Street and Smith Valley Road. We feel comfortable with those improvements that are being proposed, so we don't, engineering side of things doesn't feel that there's going to be an issue with what they're proposing.
Those road improvements, I assume, include acceleration lanes, deceleration lanes, and passing blisters.
Right.
Just to clarify, on this property, they're only accessing Main Street for road improvements on this particular primary plat.
Are you, the staff comfortable with, so your conditions were originally about the horizontal center line, is that addressed?
They've addressed that. Actually, they've met the requirement now after looking at it. So that's no longer.
So that's
concern.
why.
Right. Yeah, that's no longer a concern.
And one item, Ms. Cheney, there are other places around town that have bollards blocking an entrance that emergency vehicles for the city of Greenwood carry a key, and I think all of those are keyed.
I don't know, I know.
I'm not aware of any that are not.
I know that some actually have like almost a cranking system, but the emergency access would have access to the key. It would likely, if it was a speed was the issue, they would likely take one of the accesses that do not have bollards. But if for some reason there was a tornado, a disaster where one of those roads or accesses was closed off, we would like to have another option for emergency services to get to the scene and be able to assist people. This is public health, public safety, and ideally the more connectivity you have, the best practice. It can help with safety, it can help with dispersing traffic. Right now, vehicular, pedestrians driving would not be able to get through, but emergency services would still have that key system, or as Eric mentioned, there are other ways of doing that where emergency services can actually run right over them, pay them, depending on what they want to do.
So to just kind of make sure she understands. So ultimately, maintenance of it would be a public works.
Yeah, it's in the public right of way. So we're gonna work with them to make sure that there's advanced warnings, that they're reflective, that people see them, because it is going to be in the right of way. It will be our responsibility. And like I said, emergency services would have some type of access. White River Fire Department, I believe, is the jurisdiction that covers this one. They had reached out to me about concerns about the bollards, wanting to have access to the site. And I believe that they've been emailing and working with the petitioner, so they'll definitely be a part of that conversation when we look at these bollards.
Thank you.
Few other just staff comments addressing this. The amount of housing isn't necessarily something that you guys can regulate, as long as it's meeting our standards for the density in this zone, which staff feels that they're meeting based on the number of units they're providing and the number allowed in our unified development ordinance. I will say we have had speakers come before to talk about the housing shortage in central Indiana, in the United States, and the housing crisis that we are in. I think believing that we're going to suddenly have an excess of housing is a dangerous opinion to have during this time.
And I believe I have heard the planning department comment about the number of even potential lots in the city of Greenwood to Greenwood schools is kind of a premium that tends to drive prices up. And I'm looking to make sure that there are as many as you can approve.
Well, yeah, and housing prices are always going to be tied to demand, supply and demand. There are many other factors that contribute to this housing shortage and housing affordability, or lack of affordability that some might see. Just there are many different factors in play. It's a very complex issue, but that demand and supply are definitely a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson. Anybody else on the commission with a comment or question?
I have a comment. I'm looking at all 3 parcels and I see a lot of variation in housing types. So it crosses a market of people potentially getting into a housing situation. So I like the fact that it's not all single family. I like some multi-families, some duplexes and that kind of thing. So we have differentiation of housing types is positive for this project and for Greenwood.
And the trail system and the open ground, I'm sure is something that catches the Parks Department's eye.
Of course.
I will make a comment. There is a diversity of housing products that they're providing. You have their patios that they're showing conceptually. You have alley-loaded products with trail-oriented development where they have access to the trail. One thing, there was a comment about the 55 plus and restricting it to 55 plus. I believe these are 55 targeted, and there was no commitment placed on them to be 55 plus. So they are 55 targeted for the prepared patios, is what my understanding of it was. And planning staff believes that really the restriction of ages is something that's best left up to the homeowners association that would be governing. Can't speak tonight. The HOA, and not something that the city should be enforcing or dictating. I know from a enforcement standpoint, it'd be very difficult for planning staff to keep track or tally of the people moving in and out of houses, and whether or not they were 55, and making sure they're not renting it or having someone stay with them who's under the age of 55. So they're correct, that would be difficult to enforce, and our understanding is it's targeted.
Anything else? Seeing none, I will accept a motion.
Mr. President, I move to approve the proposed primary plat of Walker Commons Southwest Parcel Residential Subdivision submitted by YE Engineers on behalf of Apollo Developers LLC, docket PC 2024-047, subject to the one technical review committee condition that all staff comments are addressed because the primary plat, upon meeting these conditions, complies with the Unified Development Ordinance subdivisions standards, and to direct the president to sign in the commission's behalf the notice of determination and written findings regarding the approval of the primary plat as prepared by the planning director.
Thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Stambaugh. Second. We have a second by Mr. Lexi. Final questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 8-0. Good luck, Mr. Prime and company. Thank you. We're going to take just one moment here. Our city attorney is going to retrieve our commissioner. Okay, we're ready to proceed. We'll go with PC 2024-060, Center Grove Zone Map Change. This is a public hearing. So anybody who wishes to speak, please rise and be sworn in.
Brown Surgery, Tustin Street Gastroenterology. Thanks.
Proceed, give us your name and address.
No, no. You got the better looking one tonight. Yeah. You might just speak up.
Please pass that on to Mr. Toots.
Yes. The record, right? President, Commissioners.
State your name and address.
My name is John Moore. My address is 50 South Meridian Street, Suite 700, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. It's a law firm of 2 Bailey and Moore. Here's pinching Brian to this evening. Here tonight representing your petitioner of Lennar Homes of Indiana LLC. With me from Lennar, I have Taylor Navarre and Chris Miller here. This project also involves a mixed-use commercial as well as multifamily section. And for that section of the project, we have over here tonight Paul Lucian and Spencer Lucian from the Lucian Group, as well as Chris Lake from Dell Design, and then the engineer on the entire project, Wayne Scher from Y Engineers, is also here to answer any questions.
Is IT available to help him out? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. That was quick.
From the presentation PC 1229. Or 12:09. Yes, please.
Sometimes you have to click on the touch screen first to let it know you're on it. And then when you say it, it'll go.
Yeah, awesome, thank you. Again, good evening, thank you for hearing our matter this evening. We're here discussing a site that is approximately 90 acres. It is between Stones Crossing Road and Smoky Road, just east of State Road 135. You can see on the aerial here, it's just north of the future Honey Creek neighborhood. It's being developed, a future school site to the south, flats at Stone Crossing to the north, and the Stones Crossing Health Pavilion to the west. We're here tonight. This site, the majority of this site was previously rezoned to planned unit development to permit a commercial mixed-use apartment and multifamily cottage for rent community. Tonight, we are seeking to amend the PUD and rezoning part of the site that was not included in the prior planned unit development to allow for commercial mixed-use multifamily and single-family attached and detached homes to be sold individually. So in essence, no more for rent community, instead it's going to be for sale community for single-family homes. And we are respectfully requesting your favorable recommendation to the Common Council on that amendment and zoning. Next slide here shows the 2023 plan. This is the prior plan, the one we're seeking to amend and have replaced. This plan called for up to 150,000 square feet of commercial office and retail out on State Road 135. Called for 250 apartments, and then 325 multifamily cottage and single-family homes that was rental housing there in the center of the development. What we're proposing and requesting this evening is to amend that PUD to continue the 150,000 square feet of commercial, office, and retail. We'll also still have the 250 apartments, but instead of having the 325 multifamily cottage and single-family homes that were slated for rental housing, instead we'll have up to 290 single-family for sale, attached and detached residential. You'll also notice on this plan there is some additional acreage that has been added to the prior plan there to the south for additional detention there along that property line to the south. So just to summarize the differences between the approved PUD and what we're requesting approval for this evening, we still have the commercial mixed use. The old plan, 150,000 square feet of commercial, office, and retail, that carries over to this new plan. The old plan, multifamily, vertical, 250 apartments, 3 to 4 story buildings, that carries over to the new plan. Still have multifamily, 250 apartments. The change, and what we're really here tonight seeking for approval for, is to change the multifamily cottage, single family rental. There were 325 of those in the old plan. We're going to be all rentals. Instead, we're going to have single family, attached and detached residences. We're going to have up to 290 of those. So a 35 unit reduction in the residential, and it goes from being a rental community to a for sale community by owners. With respect to the residential part, I've got a layout here, a conceptual layout of what we envision the residential part looking like for the up to 290 single family homes. There, the orange homes along the northern and western border, those will be front load townhomes. Those will be 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and they would range between 1,600 and 1,800 square feet. Then the far eastern border there, surrounded in blue, we have front-loaded, single-family detached homes. Those homes will be 2 stories, 3 to 5 bedrooms each, 2 to 3 bedrooms each. And those would be range from approximately 1,600 square feet to 2,450 square feet. And then in red in the middle, we have a mix of rear-load townhomes and rear-load detached homes. The rear-load townhomes will be 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1,600 square feet to 1,800 square feet. And then the rear load detached will be 2 stories, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, approximately 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. In addition to the residences, this community will include amenities like a pool, fitness room, pocket parks, and trails throughout the community. Some of the architectural standards, Credit gave a lot on this. We really worked hard with the Lamar team on coming up with changes to the old PUD. Some of the architectural requirements, we have a no vinyl siding throughout the residential portion. There's anti-monotony provisions. There's window requirements for the size of the home. There'll be masonry wainscot on any elevation visible from a street or public area up to the bottom level of the first floor window. 2-car garages with decorative windows and decorative hardware. And the glass doors will be painted to be compatible with the home design. So, some of the typical depictions that we would see. The next slide shows the single-family detached rear load homes that are proposed as part of this development. Again, these are 2 stories, 3 beds, 2.5 baths, 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. Variety of architectural details there on the exteriors of the home. We have single-family detached front load. That's the next slide. This is along the eastern edge of the single-family home section. Those will be 2-story, 3 to 5 bedrooms, 2 to 3 baths, and range from approximately 1,600 to 2,450 square feet. Single-family attached. These will be rear load and front load townhomes. They'll be 2-story, 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, range 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. So those are the different types of homes designs that we would put in the single family residential section of the development. With Lennar has a phrase that got a EI everything included. So all of these homes will have 9-foot ceilings on the main floor, hard floors and stain resistant carpet, wood window sills, LED lights that would be energy efficient, stainless steel appliances, 42-inch decorative cabinets, decorative countertops, kitchen island, and chrome fixtures throughout the homes. Then in addition, as I mentioned, the multifamily carries over from the prior PUD. But I do have some renderings of what we would expect to see with multifamily. A lot of this you saw with the last plan when it was proposed and approved by the planning commission and the common council. Then here's the next slide, shows some of the commercial renderings we expect to see in the commercial area. 10 to 12 acres out along State Road 135. Again, we saw a lot of this the last time through because that carries through to the prior. So it's kind of development. And there's a second page showing some of the commercial renderings we would expect to see along 135. Next slide, statutory criteria for zoning change. The first criteria is whether this meets the comprehensive plan. And you notice in your staff report, the staff agrees that the rezoning request complies with the comprehensive plan. Criteria 2, its current conditions and the character of the current structures and uses in each district. Staff finds that, and staff agrees with the petitioner's statement, that this request complies with the current conditions and the character of current structures and uses in each district. Third criteria, the most desirable use for which the land in each district is adapted. Staff report finds a further comprehensive plan, master plan communities for the most desirable land use along the State Road 135 commercial corridor. Criteria 4, conservation of property values throughout the jurisdiction. Staff report points out that staff agrees with petitioner's indication that the request will not negatively affect property values. And criteria 5, responsible growth and development. Staff report finds that the proposed development is responsibly growing the city of Greenwood. So with that, staff is recommending approval, recommending forward a favorable recommendation to the common council with the following conditions. 1, street improvements shall be completed in collaboration with the city engineer. 2, trails shall be incorporated in the common areas. 3, site design elements such as sidewalk connectivity, street crossings, elements of street design, lighting, and landscaping shall be reviewed and worked through with the master plan submittal. Petitioner and staff will work through agree upon design as well as traffic calming measures for streets. Planning staff shall review all ground signs prior to placement. Lennar, the petitioner, agrees with all 5 of those staff conditions for approval. The last thing I just want to point out in the staff report, the staff does a good job in analyzing this request and the surrounding property. Staff points out that the PUD blends commercial uses, residential uses, and open space, provide for a community where residents can live, work, and play. The combination of these uses not only enhances the quality of life for residents, but also contributes to the overall vitality and sustainability of the community. Communities such as the proposed Center Grove Park PUD have the potential to mitigate traffic congestion by permitting the development of neighborhood commercial uses. Our 2007 comprehensive plan, which was in effect at the time of submission, calls for mixed use development in its future land use map as the most desirable land use. This is exactly what the Center Grove Park PUD provides. So with that, we would respectfully request that you forward a favorable recommendation for this request to the common council, and we are very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
If you may, or it's public hearing.
Public hearing. So we'll take 15 minutes for demonstrators. Anybody else wish to speak in favor of this?
Answer questions.
Not? Close public hearing.
If I may, I have some clarifying comments from staff.
Please.
This was, a similar project came before you, that was a PUD, and it received approval or recommendation from Plan Commission favorably, and then approval from Common Council. Common Council's approval had a condition that it was approved when the commitments for it were recorded. Those commitments have not been recorded yet, so that zoning never fully took place. So this is just a rezone. It is not an amendment to the old PUD. It is very similar to the old PUD, but since it was never officially zoned, it was approved by council and by Plan Commission, but it was not officially zoned in our zoning map. This is a zone map change from, it's going from agriculture AG and commercial CL to PUD district. That's why there's a revision on the staff report. I probably confused the petitioner, as well as I know I confused myself and staff, and was able to get some great legal assistance from Shauna. So just to clarify that this is a new zone map change, although it is very similar to what you saw before. Again, staff is favorable, as we were in the past with this plan unit development. I will note the drainage and detention area, that will also be incorporating trails. That is written into the PUD. That is something that staff fought for and worked with Lamar to provide in that area. So it's not just simply for drainage. It is also going to have some public use or public benefit to the people that are living here. One last thing though, I will state, I would request that the conditions that were recommended by staff are in a way upgraded to commitments. Commitments run with the property, and when they are recorded, it can get passed down to future owners. So it's a more permanent way, and there's a little bit better record keeping. Or in a title search, they would come up if someone else were to want to purchase this or move into the area, they would be able to see that. Whereas the conditions are conditional upon it, but they are not recorded. So those are my comments, and we are favorable.
Okay, I did notice in the minutes from the technical review committee, there was some discussion about 90-degree parking.
Yes, so it provided an exhibit of public street classifications, and that was included in the staff report that we had sent. That is part of, I believe it's exhibit A, page 3. The public streets are in red. There will be no 90-degree parking on public streets. That will be prohibited. The private streets, which we do not have as much, we don't have a duty to plow, to maintain, to service. Those could almost serve more for the community, maybe include some of that. They're almost in a way like a parking area, a parking lot. Sometimes you see that with apartment complexes where they have parking that's along the drive aisles. But we had some discussions about that, and staff was comfortable with it if it was on private streets only, not on public roads that are snow plowed, maintained, engineered.
And it should be understood that those private streets would never be accepted into the city with 90-degree parking.
Yes, I think we made that abundantly clear. I don't know, Paul, if you have anything from engineering.
Yeah, that was our concern. We just feel that 90-degree parking on a public roadway is just not a safe thing to do. As you know, around the city in some locations now, I think, from past projects years ago. It's not conducive to safety, that's for sure.
Thank you.
I would say that the public roads would be more trafficked than the private roads that really only access the residents. There wouldn't be much of a reason to drive onto the private roads. It's not the most direct path.
Okay, thank you. Any of the commissioners have any questions or comments?
Comments on that parking issue on public streets. Parallel parking's okay with you guys?
Correct.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
We do have some parallel parking on their site, specifically next to the common area park by POP 3 and 4. That would be open to the public. People could park along the road there. And what that often does with parallel parking is actually it creates a safe buffer between people that are walking on the path, the sidewalk, using the park, and people that are driving it. It almost creates a natural, not a natural, but a physical barrier when people utilize parallel parking. And that is okay with the city. That is much safer than people walking out onto a public street.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, I would accept a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the petition of Lennar Homes of Indiana LLC for the rezoning of approximately 90.47 acres located at 3111 South State Road 135 within the city of Greenwood, Johnson County, Indiana, from CL Commercial Large Format and AG Agricultural District use to Planned Unit Development District use, Center Grove Park PUD District, Mixed Use Commercial Multifamily and Single Family Attached and Detached Subdivision as set forth therein, receive a favorable recommendation from this commission to the Greenwood Common Council, and that the same be certified to the Greenwood Common Council in the form presented with the 5 commitments listed in the staff report. That's Sean.
If you want to read them into the record, that's fine.
Sure. 1, that street improvements shall be completed in collaboration with the city engineer. 2, trails shall be incorporated in the common areas. 3, site design elements such as sidewalk connectivity, street crossings, elements of street design, turn lanes, traffic calming, lighting and landscaping shall be reviewed and worked through with the master plan submittal. 4, petitioner and staff will work through and agree upon design as well as traffic calming measures for public streets. And 5, planning staff shall review all ground signs prior to placement.
A reminder, these are read into the motion as commitments.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Walker. Any last comments or questions before we go to a vote? All in favor, please show by raising a hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries 9-0. Good luck, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time today.
Certainly. Next is old business from the floor. Seeing none. New business. New business from the floor. Seeing none. Announcements. Mr. Keowney.
I'd like to welcome and introduce our new city engineer, Jim Peck. He started this past December 3rd, actually.
Thank you very much. Again, I'm Jim Peck. I'm a professional engineer. As you can tell, I've been doing this for a long time. I spent most of my career doing commercial, industrial, residential development across Indiana and about 9 other states. And then the last 7 years, I've been a county engineer for Montgomery County and Putnam County. And so looking forward to it. I've had to deal with Paul in the past, brought projects to Greenwood, and you better have a very good system here and look forward to be part of it. And if you have any questions, give Paul a call.
Well played. And I trust that you'll be sitting on the opposite side of this come January 13th, and Mr. Peony will get his Monday nights back.
That's correct. The deputy mayor just didn't trust me to do it my first week here, so they made sure Paul was there. And I sacked the audience.
He needs to justify his existence every once in a while.
So yeah, definitely looking forward to it, especially, we've heard a lot about traffic. I was part of a pilot program with Federal Highway Administration, doing local road safety plans. Ourselves, Montgomery County and Boone County put one together. I was able to do one and also in Putnam County, so that's a big emphasis. I've done a lot of presentations for our Purdue Road School and then part of Federal Highway Administration on a lot of the street calming, lane dieting, discussing, road safety. So bring a lot of experience. I'm not an expert on everything, but use a lot of common sense. And like I was telling Paul, civil engineering is about 90% common sense. So we'll, that's how the department's gone. And we got a project manager that just started in our department. So today, so I think we're fully staffed now at this point. Thank you.
Well, welcome to the city. Welcome to the
Welcome.
Planning Commission.
Thank you.
Question, what's our next meeting?
January 13th.
Thank you.
That was my announcement. Only one meeting in December, so happy holidays and see you next week.
And we
All
will-
right.
And we will start that meeting off with elections of officers for the new year. It's an annual event for us. And Mr. Lexi, do you know if you will be?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I hope to be.
Well, thank you for your participation in the last 2 years now. Mr. Peony, thank you for several weeks' participation. You've been a more than an admirable fill-in. Any other announcements? Seeing none, I will accept one more motion.
Move to adjourn?
So moved.